Alright, so those of you that watched episode 4 of WandaVision probably have a couple of questions about what's going on in the show, what's this and that, who's S.W.O.R.D? Like, who are they? I know what S.W.O.R.D is, I've seen S.W.O.R.D in so many Marvel movies in the past, so many shows and everything, but where does S.W.O.R.D actually come into play? Can they bring in other characters? Are they have a major role? They're just like a small organization that's going to do some stuff. So pretty much this is what this is going to talk about and how to clear some stuff up going on in WandaVision. Maybe bring in some like Easter eggs coming into the future. I think there's a pretty good Fantastic Four Easter egg that we're going to get into in this. So let's get started. Alright, so S.W.O.R.D has two definitions. Comic book wise, sentient worlds observation and response department. I want you to remember worlds because that is what mainly changes when we go into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alright, sentient weapons observation response division. So it's no longer worlds, it's now weapons. It's okay, they can do whatever they want with it. It's still pretty much the same organization. So pretty much back to this page. Quick little history on S.W.O.R.D. It's a subdivision of S.W.O.R.D. S.W.O.R.D kind of deals with stuff on Earth, in general, like Earth threats, pretty much. And S.W.O.R.D likes to deal with extraterrestrial stuff. The crew of S.W.O.R.D is not just humans, it's made up of aliens and different other heroes and stuff like that. The lady who runs S.W.O.R.D, S.W.O.R.D, Abigail Brand, she's a mutant. She can make like plasma bolts and fires and stuff with her hands, but she can also, let's call it her passive ability. The way she is made, she can understand any language that's extraterrestrial, like not like any language on Earth, but any language coming in and out from aliens and stuff. She can understand it and translate it back and talk to them, which is why she was the go-to pick in order to run this program. So, but for her, we don't see too much of her in this episode of WandaVision. That's just kind of a quick history on it, what they do. That way, if you want to go look it up and you still don't understand it, this kind of explains it for you. They have to deal a lot with the mutants, actually. And some of the comics, they found a cure for the mutants and stuff like that, and a huge ordeal breaks out and everything. They may go in depth with that, Marvel, later on, since they just bought Fox, but as of right now, I'm not going to go too far into that. There was a scene in this episode where I just forgot her name. This lady. She goes, and when she originally goes back to S.W.O.R.D headquarters and everything, you see them working on a project in the background. She's like, I thought this room everything was complete in here, they're not in construction phase. He's like, yeah, we'll talk about that later. What that was, they were building a rocket to space, okay, in order to kind of go look at it and check out everything up there. But it's interesting because look at their colors. It's kind of like a black, blue, and a white vibe, which is kind of actually Fantastic Four-ish. So if they're sending people up into space to kind of go check stuff out and stuff like that, who better to send up than the new rights they have to the Fantastic Four? Which I wouldn't be surprised if the first time we see like Reed Richards or Sue Storm or some of the other people from the Fantastic Four would be through S.W.O.R.D. Like I'd be shocked if Reed's not a scientist there working on stuff and we see him later on. Maybe not for a while. I know they announced a Fantastic Four movie later on, but I wouldn't be shocked. It's looking pretty good right now. Like that was kind of I think a little Easter egg, a little hint, and you could take it either way. Because if they decide not to do it that way, it doesn't matter. It's just wording in the script for the show. But if they do, they can go back and pinpoint it as an Easter egg. So why is S.W.O.R.D now with like WandaVision and stuff and everything going on? Like, what are they doing here? What do they have to do with the helicopter? Their members, like, what's the big deal? And here's kind of where the cosmic part comes into play and why they're there and not S.W.O.R.D. So, if you remember Kate Dennings' character, she comes in, she was in Thor, and now she's like, yo, I found this radiation, and it was cosmic microwave background radiation. The term cosmic is kind of why it's bringing them in, and with Wanda being like a sentient weaponry, meaning she can like make her own weapons and stuff like that, mind control people. It's kind of useful for those of you that don't know what sentient weaponry is. So the fact that she can do magic, oh, look at that, magic, soulbound, stuff like that, and just kind of most of Wanda's magic is kind of like sentient weaponry. So that is why they're there and not S.W.O.R.D. Could S.W.O.R.D have been there and done the same exact thing? Yes. Are they doing this mainly just to bring in S.W.O.R.D into the situation? Yeah, probably. That's my guess. Like either of them could have showed up to that situation, it would have been fine. They could have played it off. But due to the cosmic radiation stuff like that, is kind of why it's leaning more towards the S.W.O.R.D side and not towards the S.W.O.R.D in this situation. So they're there trying to figure out what exactly is going on. There's not a lot to go off of with S.W.O.R.D in the show yet, right? They mentioned a couple times. If you remember, what was it, at the end of Infinity War or Endgame? Nick Fury kind of wakes up and he's on a ship in space, and it's like he's like, what the heck is going on here? That I believe was a S.W.O.R.D headquarters ship. I'm not for sure. I'm not certain. There's not a lot of information on it, but it looks like it was a S.W.O.R.D headquarters ship. So I'm sure they will be coming in a bigger role later in the future with kind of what they do. But as of right now, I think they're also going to be used as a big way to kind of tie in some of the X-Men stuff. Pull like certain characters in from here, from there, like with the Fantastic Four and stuff like that. But for right now, they're just kind of first introduced in WandaVision. I guess maybe if you count that scene from Endgame or Infinity War, that end credit scene. But they're first introduced in WandaVision, and they're trying to see what's going on with Wanda. So this is also good because if Marvel starts doing more extraterrestrial stuff like that, almost like Guardians and everything, then they can start using S.W.O.R.D and start branching out and start using different characters and stuff like that, which in the end is a win for all of us. So I mean, that's not a big deal to me. But it is weird that they kind of changed it, sentient world observation and stuff like that for the department. It's nothing major, it's nothing crazy. But also I think it's interesting to go over. I think if you look at some of the characters in WandaVision, they are also probably S.W.O.R.D members, and they're not sure yet. Or they're sure, and they lost their memory, kind of like she did when she went inside there for the first time. So if you go back to the scene where Wanda is kind of at this like pool party or whatever, and you get the FBI agent, where he calls them in on the radio, and he's like, "Wanda, what are you doing? Like, what's going on, Wanda?" And he kind of like snaps the girl out, and she's like, "I know what you and Vision are. This, and that. Like, I know what you guys are doing." There's talk that she could be a S.W.O.R.D agent as well. She went in to get information, ended up forgetting everything, getting lost in the world and the realm and everything, stuff like that. As well as the neighbors and the guy who in episode 3 was cutting the hedges, and then also just started cutting straight through the drywall. They're talking about who they are, and they're like, that's because we're and they couldn't jog their memory to talk about who they are. They are probably S.W.O.R.D agents as well. Again, they could just be people in the town. They could just be random people, characters to put in the show and stuff like that. But they also could be agents who've lost their memory, and that could be what they were talking about when they were like, oh, like this, and that. Yeah, we're actually agents. That's why we know what's going on here and stuff like this, and we're here to investigate it. But they can't quite like spit it out. Nothing jogs their memory. And I think something that helped her jog her memory was, I don't know if you watched Inception, when they go through dreams and stuff like that, they keep like a pendulum or an item with them that kind of snaps them back to reality. I don't know if her necklace kind of worked at something like that, because Wanda mentioned something. She's like, what's on your necklace? And she looks down, she kind of pulls it up and looks at it. She's like, oh. And then it kind of like snapped her, I believe, out of it. And then next thing you know, she's getting sent through the walls, flying outside of, just literally outside of the realm, back into Earth. And then that's when she's like, it's Wanda, everything's Wanda. So when you leave there, you keep your memory. It's not like your memory is wiped. So you do like retain everything that happens while you're in there. But that pretty much kind of sums up everything major with S.W.O.R.D in the realm of the cinematic universe so far. And pretty much just mainly WandaVision on why they're there, what's going on, and what their sole purpose. Like, again, their sole purpose, for a better example, is like S.W.O.R.D is the FBI and S.W.O.R.D is the CIA. So meaning they have a broader reach. They can do stuff on Earth as well, but they leave most of that to S.W.O.R.D, or most of that to the FBI. So it's the CIA can go around and do stuff, and S.W.O.R.D or S.W.O.R.D goes out and does like extraterrestrial stuff, different planets and stuff like that. They actually have tons of spies everywhere in like the Shatari, the Kree, different alien races and stuff like just out there, which we might find later on. We may not. I don't know if they'll go in that depth with Marvel. It wouldn't be shocking. They've been going pretty in depth with some stuff. But that's pretty much the main role so far with S.W.O.R.D and S.H.I.E.L.D and everything going on, and why are these people here, missing people's cases, why they're there and not S.H.I.E.L.D because of the cosmic radiation and everything that's kind of happening. If you have any more questions and I didn't really specifically answer anything or didn't clear anything up, like, just let me know in the comments. I mean, because I'm just going off this off the top of my head. So maybe I forgot something and you're like, this didn't quite answer my question. Can you go more into depth? And I can definitely go more into depth. I'm just trying to make a quick video for those of you that want to see it and kind of move along and don't really care about the tragic backstory of S.H.I.E.L.D and S.W.O.R.D and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, comment down below. Also, like, let's start a comments about, like, what we think is going to happen in WandaVision. Do we think S.W.O.R.D's going to be a more prevalent part now, tying to like all the Marvel shows and the Marvel universe and terrestrial stuff. Do you guys want to see possible thoughts and more theories kind of like this, what they're doing with that Fantastic Four thing I mentioned and stuff like that? It's up to you guys. Comment down below if you guys enjoyed this. I appreciate the like and subscribe. See you guys next time.